Hey guys and gals, there's something I've been meaning to speak to you about for a long time. I've been talking about this for the last 10 years in radio. And of course, you can backtrack a lot of my archive shows and you can see where I've spoken about this. But it's it's about what's going on in society and our end time. And it's getting pretty serious out there from what I'm watching because I watch everything. I keep my eyes out on all the, small things and large things and people don't pay attention kind of things. And that's one serious note that we need to talk about, so stick around.
And now we interrupt, disrupt, and crash this station.
The man fighting for peace, his legacy, truth in a sea of stupid.
Filtered for your sarcastic enjoyment, Ghostgetter.
As it says in the beginning, filled for your sarcastic enjoyment, being blunt and all that, like it says in my opener. I have been for a while now because the way things are going today, you almost have to be. Because we are in a time now where people refuse to listen. They will argue with you to the point where they will call you names or insult you. Some pretty nasty stuff. And some of these videos, I've had a lot of people do just that. And I think much of them do that because they are trying to take the focus off of me telling the truth about what's going on. They're trying to move away from the subject. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't, but I think it is part of it. And what I think is pretty serious about it is I need to move away from certain subjects because it keeps me from doing what I'm supposed to do and focus on the things that are really important. Now, when I go after certain people, there is a reason, much bigger reason in all, that I go after certain people and programs and things like that. It's not because of that one particular person. It's because of a whole array of things, such as Ghost Adventures and whatever. It's more, just because I go after Ghost Adventures, it's not just them and them only. It's the whole idea of taking the truth away from society and pushing them over here in an area where you don't know what's really going on. As long as your eyes and your ears are focused over here in this direction, you're not going to see what's going on over here. And what's going over in this area is much more important than what's going on over there. And I think in today's society, Satan, demons, Lucifer, all of his minions tend to do that, to push everybody over in this direction, to keep you focused over here instead of what's going on in this area. And there are a lot of multitude of false religions that do that as well. A lot of your, and you can figure out which ones are pretty easily, but a lot of your false religions that were mentioned in the Bible and things like that are going to take your focus off of what's going on over here again and pushing you in a direction where you do not need to be. So for the last 10 years, and this is not coming from me, this is coming from a religion that I was in, a church that I was in, that not only told you what's going to happen, but backed it up with what was going on in the Bible. Not only did they tell you the rules of how things are going and how to follow God, it isn't about letting Jesus in your heart and that's it. It isn't about becoming a born-again Christian or whatever you call it, and then you just do it and that's it. There's a lot more to this than that. It's actually doing the work. It's actually going above and beyond. and I can be guilty of not doing certain things, and just like anyone else, I am not perfect. And I can get into a long story about how I'm not perfect and everything else, and I am nowhere near that. And I am not a minister, and I'm not anywhere near that. But I have told people that these things are going on because I know what they should and shouldn't be following. And I'm not here to convert you or into any certain religion. And I'm not here to bang on your door and tell you to put Jesus in your heart and raise your hands and do that, all that other stuff. I'm just telling you from what I see. And I feel like sometimes I have to tell people because it's sort of like community service for what I've done wrong. It's sort of like penance for things that I've done wrong in my life. And maybe I'm trying to help people not make the mistakes that I've made and not follow the direction that I did in the past. And maybe that's why I do it, to not only to help others, but to not make the same mistakes that I do. And I feel like sometimes that I have to do that. Not as a calling, or maybe it is, who knows. Now, it is your choice to follow that way or not, to go this way instead of going that way. It is your choice to listen to the truth. And I see for many, many years, a lot longer than I've done my show, what's going on this way. I've seen it, and I've predicted it. Not that it's any psychic ability, because this is just the things that I've learned over time from the church I was in, from seeing Bible scripture and things like that. I've seen the actions of what was told. I've seen the actions of what was going to happen. I've seen the results of things that were studied. I've seen the results of things that were told that were going to happen if this kept happening, or if you keep doing this, or if you keep doing that, or if these people continue to launch themselves in a bad way. These are the results. And if you don't go this way, this is going to happen if you go this way. And I've seen the results of this. I have been on enough investigations. I have been on, had personal experiences, and I still do. And I've been to enough instances, been involved in enough instances to where I've seen things happening that were very, very serious. And as time goes on, I've noticed that it has increased a lot. I've noticed that a lot of things have, even the new ghost hunters admits that things have been increasing. They still think it's a little girl ghost, which is really irritating. But even they admit that there's something going on. Even they have seen it. I mean, even your false religions are believing it's the end time. The people that have tried to literally deceive you believe it's the end time. Even the bad people think it's the end time. So when we get to the point where even they think it's the end time, what do you think is going on? Have you not noticed the increase in violence around the world? Have you not noticed the how bad things have gotten? How sin has gotten worse? Have you not noticed how things have just... It's almost like we are living in a world of just total chaos, with no rules, no regulations, no laws, no nothing. That's what it seems like we are living in now. And now there are things popping up all over the place that I've mentioned on my show years ago. And not only that, but I've mentioned even years before then. I can remember doing this, talking about this stuff up to when I was a teenager, and possibly longer than that. So now we have things in the world where we just create more and more chaos. I've mentioned about disease running rampant, and now we're seeing flesh-eating viruses everywhere. We're seeing people claiming that through California we're having diseases that we haven't seen since the Dark Ages. And it's predicted that in California we're going to have the bubonic plague. And maybe that's just to instill fear in society, and people are shaking their heads. That's just to scare you off because it's CNN or Fox or the media trying to put fear in you. Well, How about this? There is Bible scripture that talks about at the end time, people will fear things. The fear of war, the fear of this, the fear of that. Toward the end time, everybody will be scared of their own shadow. And we are pretty much in that position anyway. So not only that, but if you see some of the videos of the trash, the rats, all this stuff going on, the tents and everything in California, the defecating in the streets. I watched Live PD the other day, and a cop pulled over and stopped this guy who was just taking a dump in the middle of a road or on the side of a road in front of everybody. This is a constant thing going on. It's disgusting. So you can't tell me that all this that's going on cannot create diseases. I mean, anything this bad will cause diseases. Some nasty, ugly ones as well. I have mentioned years ago about chaos breaking out into the streets. And here's the latest video on that, as this is going on all over the place. And it may seem harmless to them, but how long will it be before we end up attacking police officers in the street with actual real weapons?
The video is disturbing. An NYPD cop getting beamed in the head by a bucket. Cops were making an arrest when a bunch of young men started dousing them with water. Then someone launched the red bucket, hitting the officer. The humiliation was intense, but the cops carried on doing their job.
Oh my God.
That's not all. Another video in Brooklyn shows 2 cops getting drenched.
Oh, they not stopping! Oh my God!
Look what they do to this police officer. They walk away without so much as flinching as they are mercilessly mocked.
Unbelievable.
They're putting themselves out there, and this is how they're treated. You know, these are law enforcement individuals.
And yet another video shocking America. A woman tries to get cops to help her as she's getting soaked by buckets of water.
Going water is not allowed!
She pleads for help, but the cops just stay put in their patrol car. The fact that the police officers did not make any arrests and just seemed to accept the public humiliation is sparking serious questions about the state of law enforcement, not just in New York, but around the country.
There's a total disrespect for law enforcement.
NYPD Sergeant Joseph Imperatis blamed the political climate.
These officers don't want to be on the front page of the paper. With everything going on, police officers are afraid to take actions, and it's going to get them hurt.
You're saying these officers were afraid to retaliate here?
In today's day and age in policing, there's got to be a line that's drawn. What should have been done is they should have been arrested. They should have put a stop to it.
On social media, some commentators are comparing the videos to the notorious I Can't Breathe final moments of Eric Garner, who died after his arrest 5 years ago.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I'm trying to figure out the reason for this outrage over NYPD being drenched with water, goes one comment. They still got to go home to see their families afterwards. Eric Garner didn't. We asked our followers on social media, did NYPD officers do the right thing by ignoring groups of people, dousing them with water? 65% said yes, apparently believing the cops were de-escalating the situation. 35% said no, arrests should have been made.
By the way, that's courtesy of Inside Edition. And it's not just them. I see it happen all over the internet, all over different news outlets. So it's real. I've seen the latest with the squirt guns, which is pretty embarrassing, disgusting. I'm actually embarrassed that the people in this country act the way they do. There's no one civilized anymore. How long is it going to be before it gets worse? How long is it going to be before it's actual real weapons, rocks, bottles? And I know it's coming, because it's already happened before. So now we're going to get to the point, and I said this a long time ago, and you can look in my archives of my shows. I said during the end time, and I've told people even way before this, that chaos would break out into the streets. And that's what's going on now. And I've said that it will get to a point where police will walk off the job. They will no longer help others. They will no longer answer the call. The total disrespect and embarrassment, not only for them, but you should be embarrassed to attack people as an adult. You're an adult, and you're doing this. And making excuses like someone else got killed. So this is going on all over the country, not just one area. So you use others being killed as an excuse to commit a crime yourself, and dousing water is an assault. And they should have been arrested. But my point is that what's going to happen, because, most of your morons don't think of this, what's going to happen if police walk off the job? The military takes over. And what do you think the military is going to do to you if you douse them with water? Do you think they're going to uphold rules and regulations like the police do? Seriously. If it were me, and which I think, people like de Blasio or whatever his name is, want martial law. These people in our government now, they beg for martial law. They want martial law. Because with martial law, there is no constitution. With martial law, they can do whatever they want to you because they make up their own rules. They make up their own laws. They make up their own regulations. If you don't believe it, look it up, because it can happen, and it will happen. Because when you got a military that takes over, there's a curfew, and all kinds of other rules and regulations that will stick you in a jail cell or a camp or fence you in, and they do not have to have a reason. They do not have to have a search and seizure. They do not have to have a warrant. They do not have to follow any rules of the Constitution once martial law breaks out. And this is exactly what they want. When people say that, I don't understand why he's allowing this, think about it. Because it gives him complete control. Everything goes thrown out the window. So I'm not surprised. It is no shock to me that these idiots that do this don't have a brain in their head, that don't think about what the consequences are of doing things like this when police decide to, you know what, it's not worth it. Bye. And they go home. All they have to do is protect their own families with their own weapons. They don't care. But it gets nasty and it gets ugly when you have the military taking over and it's martial law. You can't figure this out because you have people like YouTube taking down videos of the Nazis and things like that when they committed martial law, and you've seen what happened there. It's almost the exact same thing, the exact same videos, but you're looking at it in black and white. You see chaos breaking out, people busting out windows of those who had a religious life. Hitler eventually took that religion away, which is going to happen here as well. It's already happening in China, which I find was also very interesting. And that brings me to my second subject. I was just reading the other day that, well, actually today and yesterday, that China decided to put a hold on a lot of these religions and pretty much put their foot down on a ton of them. I've seen and if you want to know this stuff, because I watch these videos, I don't say a word because I don't like to scare anybody around my home, or I don't. But I'll sit there and I'll see something on my phone, or I'll see it on the internet, and I'll not only if someone posts it, but I go a little bit further than that and find out more information on it, because some of these websites can be frauds and fakes. So I will continue to do searches on it to find out if it's legit. And even if it isn't, it doesn't surprise me that China did this. But they've actually tore down churches, and Christians out there are running for their lives and fleeing the country because they have put a crackdown on a lot of these religions and are stopping Christians and the like, many of them in their country. And it often makes you wonder why. And it often makes you, and I have my theories and things like that, but the latest I've seen just yesterday, that they've now forced people in small towns in the country to report and to write down who the individual is that believes in God. They want this documented. Now, why do you think that is? Me personally, and that's not the only thing that I've seen China do. China has been doing a lot of things recently that's pretty interesting. One of them I thought, that I've seen is the small towns and islands they're just building on their own and things like that. But it's to the point where it tells me that they're preparing for something. When something like this goes on, it means they're preparing. Now, we have seen this over time in history where when countries start doing rule changes and start doing certain things, that means they're in preparation for other things. They don't just do this just at the drop of the hat for no reason. It means they're preparing for stuff. Now, when I see them doing all kinds of different things, I notice that they are in preparation. And this is what I was mentioning about we are in our end time. I thought was interesting is a couple of months ago, and this is how I think, I noticed that Putin and the premier of China were meeting each other. They had a conference between the two. And, of course, they also spoke to Korea, but it did not bring up what was mentioned or what they were talking about. So, I said in my head, because these are the kind of things I think about, that after this conference, because these are things where they make rules, these are things where they talk economics, they talk a whole bunch of other things, and they come up with ideas and throw things at each other and all that. This is where I said they don't just talk to each other just to smoke a cigarette or cigar and have a glass of wine and just go home. They are preparing for things. They have a plan. And when I saw this, I kept that in my head and said, watch what happens in the next couple of months or a year. Because they have a preparation or a plan for something. I don't know what it is, but watch what happens in the next couple of months or a year. And this was a while back. And now I'm starting to see this. And now there is something else that I saw the other day. I thought, why is this going on? And it's pretty serious. This is the latest of from American Military News. Of course, I've seen it on other news pages and all over the internet, but it's not really being said by the media. Of course, the media hides things now. They won't say anything anymore. But you can find it if you look for it, if you Google it before. But you tend to find a lot of things that the media tends to hide because they're so focused right now on attacking Trump and what he does. Whether or not he's right or wrong, I don't care. But I think what we should focus on is the importance of things that are going on in the world instead of this ridiculousness. But of course, law and order is not important anymore, and the Constitution is not important anymore. And of course, martial law is something that they would love to have. Why not? But this is the latest that South Korea had to fire warning shots at Russia and China bombers and jets because they were flying over their airspace. What was the purpose of this? Now, according to Russia, they said that they were just flying maneuvers for the heck of it. But according to what I was reading somewhere else, that South Korea warned these Russian planes to leave the area, and they didn't, so they fired warning shots, and Russia came back and flew planes over their airspace again later on, and they had to fire warning shots again. So the question is, why is this happening? There have been multitude of times that didn't show up in the media where Russia has flown bombers into airspace over Alaska and did nothing about it. Of course, media doesn't bring this up. So I thought that was interesting as well and very, very serious. And now we have other things going on And this here is one of the latest things that I find very suspicious, very strange. And there's so much chaos breaking out into the world, it does not surprise me at all. So you can watch this if you want to know the truth of it all. I'm not saying find all the answers through me, because I'm not like that. I'm not going to run up there and claim to be ordained or claim to be a minister and claim to save anybody, because I'm not going to put myself in a position to get my butt in trouble. And I don't want to do that. And I don't want to preach something that isn't true. I'm just following what I've learned and maybe trying to help others do the same in their own way. Find the answers on your own. Test the spirits. Look it up for yourself. Question everything. That's what I'm telling you. You can keep on watching me because I'm telling you. I know what's going on. I see it. And I was told decades ago that watch therefore and pray always, and always test the spirits. Because not only physically out in the world am I seeing things with my own eyes, but I'm noticing things that are spiritual that are changing. And I've been having some gruesome nightmares of things that I'm not that nowhere near that kind of person. And it's just, things I don't want to talk about. And I know where it's coming from. And I know it's an attack on me. And these are the kind of things where I think to myself, I don't even, I haven't watched horror movies or anything since, well, maybe one a year ago. But before that, it's been a few years. And I don't watch things like that anymore. So I don't know where this stuff is coming from. Well, I do know where it's coming from, but I know definitely it's not me. So it is no surprise to me that not only is it an attack, is attack on me spiritually. So I am not surprised at that at all. I take that back. I've watched Stranger Things, but to me it's not even a horror movie. It's just ridiculous, more like an 80s thing. But it's nowhere near what I've been dreaming about. It is nothing like that at all. This is not something that has even come to my mind ever. So it is pretty frightening, and it scares me. I notice there are a lot of religions that are preparing as well, and this just instills the idea of the fear in people, rumors of wars, and things like that. And now we have this issue with the Middle East. We've sent troops to Saudi Arabia, and now we have long-range missiles pointed toward Israel by a few other countries that are joining in. And then we have the issue with Iran. And I did say on my show several times about the Middle East during the end time destroying itself. So it's not a surprise to me that this is going on as well. And of course, we're too busy throwing buckets of water on police officers to keep track of what's going on, or our heads buried in our phones of what somebody said on Facebook. Facebook has gotten to the point now where it's all about drama. What's Trump doing this week? What's Trump doing that week? Trump. And what's interesting is the people that supposed to be, and you know who you are, focusing on things that are more important, focusing on things that are godly, are so busy talking about Trump that you're missing the point of all of it. That is totally going way over your heads. I don't care about the man, and I don't care about people that have been in this country and ruled this country in the past. Neither did the religion I was in, and neither did the religion you were in. They didn't believe in voting, and they didn't believe in worshiping people or following people, that were running this country, because they did not follow rules and laws that they were supposed to. Pedophilia has gotten worse among our government. Con artists, thieves, and the like have gotten worse in our government. So paying attention to these people is not really benefiting anybody. I've been screwed over by all of them. And I can argue all day long about what they're doing right or wrong, because we're focusing on what the guy's doing now. But, we fail to focus on other people that have done it as well. So not only is it today, but it will be in the past and it will be in the future, and we will continuously have this because they do not follow God. Man cannot rule themselves, and they're going to continue this chaos until it ends completely. And then you know what happens after that. Some of you do. So you can continue to do the right thing, or you can continue to argue about what someone's doing in our government, which is a waste of time because in the end, it isn't going to matter what they did or didn't do to you anyway. It matters what we do. And I hate to tell you this, but what they're doing now is following prophecy to begin with. They're doing exactly what God said they would do. They're going to fall just like God said it would. So to sit and complain, and I have in the past, I've been guilty of that, and I shouldn't have been, because I got caught up in the anger as well, and it can really dive into you, and it really can take control of you. But to be honest with you, for those of you that know, standing there and argue about what they're doing, you should know better that it's supposed to be this way. It's supposed to happen. That's how it's supposed to end. And this would happen during the end time. A lot of you should know this already. So why argue it? And as far as the other people that I've talked about in the past, the other ministers, the other false religions, think about the things that they're doing. Watch what they're doing. Are they really following the Bible? Are they really doing what they're supposed to be doing? No, they're not. And look at the things that I've noticed, such as these people doing exorcisms and things like that. Demons don't act like that, okay? I don't care what you say. For somebody to get possessed and change their voice, anyone can do that. But you see nothing disappearing and reappearing. You see nothing levitating. You see nothing. You don't see things that they usually do. You don't see them. When you got one man holding another guy back, please, really? These things could throw that guy across the room and hit the wall. And you're telling me that one skinny man can hold down this guy that's possessed? No. So, they do not follow God's laws. Definitely don't. They worship things that they shouldn't be worshiping. They shouldn't bow down to things that they shouldn't be bowing down to. And they do it all for money. Which, Christ never did. You never see any of these other prophets do that. So you got to stop focusing on me and question the things that are happening around you. Test the spirits. Watch, therefore, and pray always. You got to look at what they're doing and question everything. And don't do it for, because I said so. Do it for yourself. Do it for the right reasons. Do it because you're trying to do the right thing. And stop believing what people tell you. And start doing the right thing. If you want to believe in God, follow the Bible. It's that simple. Read it. Get the answers there. We have Google now. You can find anything on any subject in the Bible now just by Googling it. And you can look these things up and you can find answers. That's all you have to do. So I will have more coming up later, and I hope you will follow me and you subscribe. Of course, I already have people doing thumbs down probably in the first 10 seconds. But I hope you'll subscribe. Like I said, I'm not perfect or anything else like that. But I appreciate everybody watching and all that. And if I come up with more, I'll let you know later. But I can't think of it on the top of my head. But I do appreciate everybody watching. Until next time, see ya. Hey everybody, don't forget to check out Reverse 96 FM on TuneIn, Streama, and now InternetRadio.com.